welcome to Sports on Tap here on DKPittsburghSports.com. I'm your host, Chris Carter, with my co-host, Hunter Hummustek. We are here at Mike's Beer Bar here in the North Shore of Pittsburgh, right across the street from PNC Park, where at all times they have 500 beers, 80 on tap, 50 from local craft breweries. It's a special place, Hunter.
Dude,
you love to be here. I love to be here. And I'll tell you why you should love to be here next Thursday, the 20th of February. Special beer pairing event with North Country Brewing Company. They're going to be pouring several beers. They have the Grisette, Wolf Creek IPA, the English Style Bitter, Oatmeal Cookie, White Tea Sour, Scarlet Sour, Liquid Love Pin. All those different beers paired with great food made right here by special chefs here at Mike's Beer Bar. Next Thursday, February 20th at 6 p.m. Just come to Mike's Beer Bar. You can get tickets, or you can sign up to be in it, or just stop on by next Thursday.
Get down here regardless. Realistically,
it's the best beer spot in Pittsburgh for sure. And anytime they do these beer pairing events, they have great food and great drinks. Gotta love it,
dude. It's a perfect night out. Get you and your lady, you and your man, you by yourself. Just come by yourself. You don't need a partner to enjoy food and beer.
I've come here several times alone. Not that I'm a loser, but
I'm just saying. Hey man, it's a good place.
It's a great place to be. But I'll tell you what, the Penguins are in a great place to be because they just traded to get their top six winger in Zucker. He joins Crosby's line. With that, we're going to start talking about the beers, just to get you guys primed with our sports topic. But we got for our first beer, it's the Hitchhiker Bane of Existence IPA, 6.6%. It's not your typical IPA because it's brewed with oats, hopped with Citra, Motueka, Simcoe, notes of passion fruit, melon, stone fruit, and mango. I said all those words, and I'm about to test it out right now.
I sniffed it extra just for you, Dale. Since you won't sniff your beer, there we go.
Yeah, good old Dale Lally would have chugged all four of these by now. And he'd have been like, whoa, Chris.
They're gone. Yeah, he does Instagram 60-second hits. Mike's Beer Bar. Gotta get these done in a minute.
Yep, try to get out of here. But let's talk. We don't normally talk hockey on the show, but it's a big moment for the Penguins because everyone knows this is a talented group. They've got two talented goalies. They've got the playmakers. But the loss of Ginsel left a huge hole in the top of the lineups that they had, and now they've got a guy to fill that hole, hopefully. Now, just editor's disclosure, kind of opening you up for transparency in this show. We're filming this before his first game. So we don't know how this trade has worked out for the first couple days. But the excitement in Pittsburgh is booming right now.
Yeah. Business is booming.
Business is booming!
I ran so many polls on social media just testing the water, seeing, how do you feel about this trade? How would you describe this trade? Overwhelmingly positive response from fans. People are really hyped about this. And one thing I love about Jim Rutherford is that this is a man who knows exactly what he wants. Yeah. And he just, we've heard him tied to Zucker for a long time. He's like this guy. So on the surface, when I looked at that trade, I was like, ooh, that's a lot to give up. That's a lot of future. And I understand win now, and I understand that Crosby and Malkin and Letang's time here is definitely numbered, and they're not getting any younger, but they're also not getting any worse, which is the strange thing. We don't know exactly how much longer their window is going to be.
Expiration date will be.
Right.
But the point is
that
I
get it.
When you have it, because here's the other thing is, they've had their years. We remember the years when Crosby couldn't get healthy because of just injury after injury. Right now, yes, the Penguins have been suffering from massive injuries, including Crosby, who missed significant time this year. But it's looking like they're going to get that group to be healthy. And minus Ginsel, they're going to have all those guys, hopefully, not trying to jinx anything, good to go for the playoffs. We got to see how March goes because that's always pretty wild. But once they get to April, if you're healthy and you're in the playoffs in the NHL, you can do some damage.
It's such a momentum-based sport, even more so than, we obviously talk about football more than anything. And that is as well where you see a wild card team. I think of the Titans this year. They got hot at the end, rode that momentum the whole way through, obviously got stopped by the Chiefs. But that's the same kind of thing as hockey, where it's about who's healthiest and hottest as the season ends. And that can sometimes just carry right through the playoffs. The craziest thing about this is that Galchenyuk was horrible.
Oh, yeah.
So
they got rid of him.
So Zucker's not going to be that bad.
Right.
Shouldn't be that bad. Watch
So you say that, and then they stink. And then next week we're here like, oh, man, Zucker, we hate him.
Bad. So in the short term, it's an obvious improvement to the team in my eyes, which they've already been winning. They've been so hurt, and they're still right in the thick of things. They've got a playoff seed locked up.
Yeah, they're going to make the playoffs.
They're going to make it.
And again, when they get to the playoffs, and this is my thing with both I say baseball, basketball and hockey. Baseball, I mean, obviously, because they're even longer. But when you have those 80
Right.
plus game sports, you can stink early. I mean, we remember the years when the Penguins were the worst team in the East
Right.
halfway through, and then all of a sudden, whoop, they flip it around, get a new coach, and then they're in the championship.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm not saying coasting happens, but in the NBA especially, I remember several years where teams that LeBron was on would start slow, sluggish, and you're just like,
the Heat did that all the time.
right. And then the last 40 games of the year, he'd be like, all right, I'm going to start getting ready for the playoffs now.
Yep. They were like, let's kick it into a high gear. Now we've done that. I want you to kick it into high gear.
Kick it into another beer.
Exactly. Kick it into another beer, high gear. I want you to give people your high gear of announcing this next beer.
Oh, I can't follow you announcing stuff. You're such a charismatic, projecting guy. But we got a mindful beer. Mindful. Ooh, sexy Kelbach. Hellisbach. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
This beer's about to be a mouthful.
And it's also like the mix of capitals and lowercase.
Right.
It's kind of weird.
They got that SpongeBob meme font.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Like, what, sexy Kel? What, are we making fun of the name of this?
I guess we're making fun of it, but
listen to the world's most boring beer description. Medium-bodied and crisp with a hint of complex fruity undertones.
Compared to some of the ones we've read here,
right.
That's pretty simple.
Yeah, that's a beer, all right.
That is a beer.
It's just like, how some beer, I always describe it as, and this might be a little too far, but like your uncle's breath, like your drunk uncle's breath.
That's weird.
That is weird.
All right, we're gonna switch topics. 'Cause Hunter just took it someplace I don't want to go.
This is your drunk uncle's breath.
This reminds me of what this is a good Yingling type of lager.
Dolly's so upset by that.
Yeah. Why did you go there? Why did he do that?
Saying, everybody has a drunk uncle, and this is what his breath smells like.
I really know what he means.
I mean, I know what he means too, but I
That's
don't
what I'm
remember what
saying.
his breath smells like that.
Just accurate. It's all about accuracy on Sports on Tap.
It's a 6.3%er. I like it, and it has the fruity undertones. You taste it, but they don't overpower it. So I appreciate that because I like the feel of a Yingling. That's a good Pittsburgh burr.
Oh, absolutely.
Hunter, you have been on the road. You got to see live Champagne's 30-point performance.
Man.
He was the National Freshman of the Week. First time, I think, in 8 years.
Yeah,
that
crazy, right?
Pitt has had a player win a national award like that. What is your vibe from the team and where they are? Because they're extremely young.
Excuse me. All that Dale chugging got me burping. They are. I mean, they're extremely young. Champagne, we've kind of seen, I feel like we felt this brewing all year with Champagne. He's shown definite flashes. Everybody will look at the 30-point game, and he had 20 and 11 against Notre Dame the game before. He's had 3 other 20-point games this year. Like, this isn't his first time. He was the MVP of the tournament down in Florida that Alex covered, so he's been there, and he was actually the less heralded recruit between him and Drumgoole.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, so he's come out of nowhere. My favorite thing about watching Champagne is that you'll be watching a game, you'll look down at the stats, and you'll be like, he has 20 points.
Yeah,
like, when did that happen?
from?
He does everything so well within the flow of the game, does not force anything, just takes what's there, takes little openings as they're given. He was actually talking about how he kind of analyzes the game after that 30-point performance, and he said he just picks openings on the court. He looks for openings, and then he'll fill it. And it's such an obvious way to look at the game, like, oh, where's their space for me to make a play? I'm going to go to that space. But, like, other players don't think like that. Like, you definitely see it with X and Trey especially. People get on them about forcing it, and I've seen a lot less of that lately, man. And they're not putting up the gaudy stat lines that people want to see.
Right.
They're playing much better lately.
It's system basketball. And part of it I saw with Trey and X. The two of them felt like, for me, and yes, last year this was the case. They were it. They were the talent. They had to they had to get it done if they wanted something to get done. Yeah. And you still see Xavier Johnson have those moments where he dribbles into quadruple coverage, and you're just like, what are you doing, buddy?
Sure.
But I made this joke with Dayon that's Carl Krauser. Krauser, but
who is like the greatest fan now. Like, he's at every game.
He's amazing.
He's insane.
But also for forever, I throw up the X for Carl Krauser. I used to do that every time I got a strike in bowling, which was like once every other week.
It is funny that a guy named Xavier now, though, X is kind of carrying that torch.
It's carrying that torch. But I mean, I like how they're building. And people got to remember, this team is exceedingly young. And they're going to get even younger because Capel is continuing to recruit. They need a big man. McGowan's is very good. Johnson will get better. And I love Champagne. But if they get that bully in the paint, let those three guys,
everything.
within a year or two, they could be seriously competing and in the tournament and bringing the excitement back to the Peak.
Dude, and people think it's like outlandish or whatever to say, but they've had so many close. That Duke game was winnable. Louisville at home was winnable. Syracuse was winnable. A lot of these they already beat Florida State, who's now top 10 in the nation, or at the time of this recording, they're top 10 in the nation. But I get definitely they need a big man and they need a pure shooter besides Ryan Murphy.
Yeah,
he's kind of it right now.
He's filling that
injured,
role right now, but.
If they get a lights-out shooter and a big man, changes.
And with the progression of the guys, if they continue going in the right direction, now you're talking about an actual program that could be. I mean, there was an article released on some website, might have been the Post-Gazette, but someone recanted did a talk about the 2008 Pitt Panthers, which were the best Pitt team I've ever seen.
Sure.
And just having the balance on that squad. If Capo could do that in just a few years,
it's insane.
It's going to be insane.
I saw it. Champagne's 30-point game rose the fact that there have been 4 30-point games by freshmen in Pitt history. Johnson has 1, McGowan's has 2, and now Champagne has the 4th.
That's crazy.
So they're all Capo recruits. All the 30-point freshman games are Capo recruits. Just as like a stamp on what he's done in a short period of time.
I'm going to switch on to our next beer here. We got the Recon from Recon Braver, WEE Scottish Ale. It's 5.2%, so we're going lighter here, even though it's kind of dark.
Wow, I've never seen a Scottish ale this light alcohol.
Right? A Scotch ale that is full-bodied and malty, low-hop bitterness, and sweet caramel notes round out this traditional take on a Scottish ale.
All right. One of my best friends, my roommate all throughout college, Scottish ales are his favorite. So, Blake, you're definitely not watching this, but this one's for you.
I like I do like red beers. I've always like that Scottish feel, that Irish, and it's just like I don't know why it's always gotten me. Man, I just thought about St. Patrick's Day is like a month away now.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are we don't have green beers for that?
We don't have green beers. Oh my gosh.
Better.
We should have such a great episode for St. Patrick's Day.
No doubt.
But I want to switch.
5 flights.
Huh? What'd you say?
5 flights. 5.
We're the ones on camera and Dolly can't speak.
It's solidarity.
Solitaire. It's fine. But man, let's switch topics. We got to talk about the Steelers. It was an interesting article that came out. What'd you say?
We got to talk about the Steelers. Like, yeah, they do exist in the city, I guess.
I mean, yeah, they're like, you know, the biggest team in town and all that thing.
Yeah.
But Minkah Fitzpatrick was come out. Brooke Pryor from ESPN had an interesting story on this, and come out saying that Minkah Fitzpatrick is willing to take on versatile roles in the defense. Right. I thought that was very interesting. And
because
because he played purely free safety. And when he left Miami, Hunter, he said, I was tired of having to switch all those roles. I just thought that was a very interesting point of him and a very good sign for where this defense might be headed.
Yeah, and I saw so many fans like, oh, he's being a drama queen, but like, you're forgetting a crucial point about this, is that when you're asking him to do it all for the Dolphins, he doesn't have help. He has help here. He wants to be more versatile here because he knows, hey, somebody's got my back. When I go here, somebody's got my back on this or that. He doesn't feel like he's left on an island like he did in Miami, where he's like, I'm literally the only guy who cares down here. Here, he's on a team of like-minded players. Makes all the difference. So, like, I saw so many people saying how he's being a drama queen and this and that, and I was like, that is not at all how I read it. Is that how you read the story?
Not at all.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I mean, also, you had to look at how the organization was looking at the time. The Dolphins were basically admitting they were tanking. They were getting rid of their best players, and and several of their current players were like, "Get me out of here." And I mean, it's obvious that Minkah was one of them. And but think about it, Minkah Fitzpatrick. When you're a guy that's been on, he was dominant in high school football, but played for Alabama, so he barely lost there.
Right.
You know, players like that don't like to be on bad organizations. And they want to have the chance to be great and be great for somebody that is great. I mean, perfect example, Trevor Lawrence. Everyone's hyped about when he comes out in the draft next year. You know he's lost 2 games in the history of his life?
I saw that.
Of his life, not just college, but his life.
That's seriously unbelievable.
How does someone play football?
I don't know. That didn't make sense. I saw that stat too, and I was just like, So how does this guy handle losing? And like losing the national championship almost doesn't count because it's like, okay.
It's like, oh man, I lost to the best team in the country.
You lost to the best team in the country.
Right.
Like, yeah, how are you going to handle losing to the Cardinals randomly in week 6? You know what I mean?
Imagine if he gets drafted by the Browns.
Right.
Somebody bad.
It's just your classic bad team.
The Browns, just the Browns, the Jaguars, and you just go there and it stinks. And how do you handle that kind of pressure? It's not easy to deal with that. Minka Fitzpatrick was dealing with that as best as he could in Miami. And you're right. He had the only other good play they really had on defense was Xavier Howard.
Yeah.
And you even kind of saw he got paid and he's trying to fight it out there, but it's tough. But now he's with the Steelers.
Absolutely.
And I can tell you, just from talking to him and Joe Hayden, those two build off of each other.
Oh,
so
definitely.
multiple turnovers for both of them have come off of working together in a tandem.
Yep.
So that's why I thought that was a very interesting story to come out of ESPN and a good one for conversational point for what the Steelers want to do.
Absolutely.
You got the last beer.
Yeah,
we got some Valentine's Day shout out here.
We're going to stick with this. I think we're going to stick with this theme, though, because I got a idea for you to expand on. We got the Penn Chocolate Meltdown here, which I was sure was a chocolate stout. And Dolly actually went through and tried to name our beers and said this was a stout. It does look like a stout. It just says very dark, full-bodied ale. So I don't know. Just an ale. Regular old dark ale. Hints of roasted caramel malts along with luscious Betsy Ann chocolate. What do you know Betsy Ann chocolate, Carter?
I have no idea what that is.
Is that local? I don't know. Anyway, this is the most chocolatey beer of them all, according to the...
Mingles with lactose, sugar for creaminess in every sip, cited by Modern Brewery Age as the most chocolatey of them all in a tasting panel of several chocolate beers.
I mean...
That's a lot to live up to.
It smells like...
It smells like it's a Hershey Kiss.
Yeah, Willy Wonka stuff right here. Yeah, that's chocolatey. You know what's crazy about that? Is that it drinks very smooth and light still. It's not heavy like...
Because it's a 5.5%.
Yeah.
Usually when you drink chocolate, a stout...
Right.
And again, this is an ale, so it's not a stout, but usually when you see a dark beer, you're like, man, that's going to hit my stomach.
Right.
It's going to be sitting there all night.
That deep level of chocolate usually comes with the high ABV.
Right, but
not
this.
Interesting.
That's spectacular. I mean, just how you mix that up.
It's dense. Like the talent on this Steelers defense, Carter. So this is my idea for you.
I was wondering, that was a great, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Hunter Helmstedt with the ultimate transition
Don't miss a beat. My idea for you is this, true or false?
What's up?
The Steelers defense in 2020 will be even better than in 2019.
Yes, whatever you said, they're ranked number 1. Yes. Are they make the most turnovers? Yes. Do they get another year top sack? Yes. Everything I'm saying yes about this defense.
Which is crazy because they were phenomenal.
They were phenomenal this last year. I think that people are, unless they deal with significant injuries, like they lose T.J. Watt and Minka Fitzpatrick, one of those guys, then they're in trouble. Right. But being realistic, these things happen. And this past decade, what playoff game did the Steelers play with all of their stars? There wasn't a single one that they lost with all their stars.
The Broncos one hurts the most.
I mean, a fifth-string running back fumbled in the fourth quarter.
With no AB.
No AB, no Le'Veon Bell, no D'Angelo Williams. It was just, they were decimated. And Ben with a broke shoulder. Anyways, we're past that.
We're clearly over that.
We're clearly over this. This does not impact us at all. But the defense, you're talking about them getting better. Minka Fitzpatrick, being the fact that he's going to, I think now you're asking him to be that X factor. Yeah, I had an interesting roundtable discussion on Locked On Steelers, the podcast I do. If you get a chance, look up Locked On Steelers on anywhere you host podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere you search it. You'll find me talking about the Steelers every day. Anyways, this week's been our ultimate division crossover. And we're talking with all of the AFC North podcasters.
Nice.
And the Bengals guy, Jake, love you, Jake, but he came.
I know about this coming.
He came at Minka Fitzpatrick. He said he didn't have many interceptions in the second half of the year. I'm like, did you watch the games? He wasn't targeted because teams fear him. Imagine working with that. Now you're moving him all over the place. Now he's less predictable at where he's going to line up. And you got the pass rush. And you're stopping the run. Yep. And Devin Bush is going to year 2.
Jake has no idea.
Jake from State Farm is way off here.
What did you wear?
Khakis. Some dude's in his khakis talking smack on Minka Fitzpatrick. You can't do that. But, dude, the single biggest thing for me, when you talk about, unless there's a devastating injury, There was a devastating injury last year with Stephon Tuitt. Everybody forgets that he was literally, and this was like a widely accepted opinion.
He was the wrecking ball of the team. He was the best
player on that defense.
And that's in a year where T.J. Watt was also on the same team.
Right. So you lost him and still did everything that they did. I don't see, like you said, unless catastrophic injury. Okay, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Or somehow both Bud and Hargrave leave, and they're not able to retain either one of them. Like, that could definitely cause some problems as well. But if they bring at least Bud back and are healthy, I don't see how this isn't an even better defense next year.
Yeah, I think they're just going to improve in their chemistry.
It's crazy.
I think Vince Williams is going to get a lot more time to shine. And with how a lot of teams are trying to run the ball this year, and I wrote about this for DK Pittsburgh Sports a couple weeks ago on Carter's Classroom, but I really think Vince Williams is the answer to a lot of those Derrick Henry style offenses where they try to throw a fullback at you. Vince eats fullbacks for breakfast.
He doesn't care.
He does that.
He's the most downhill player on that defense by far.
He will eat them up, and then he will make the tackle, or he'll sack the quarterback. Either way, I think that they're set up, and we haven't even gotten to talk about Joe Hayden, Steven Nelson, that duo outside, how they're getting even better. Steven Nelson, I think they got a steal by signing that guy in free agency. He might even be the guy that you rely on in the next few years whenever Joe Hayden does feel like, it's time for me to hang it up. Yeah. If he feels that way, I mean, Joe may feel like playing another 4 years. Who knows?
The way he played last year, I'm pretty sure he could. Yeah, I mean, especially towards the end of the year. He got better as it went.
He got better as the year went on.
It's crazy.
So like they're in a great spot right now.
They really are.
That's why when you started to ask me this question, I was just yes to whatever you say.
If it's about the defense, the answer is yes. I mean, you look at it position by position. You take all 11 guys. There's literally not a weak link you can point to. There's just not. There's not a bad player who's the weakest of them all.
I mean, of the main starters, I mean, this year you could say Mark Barron.
Okay.
But
I thought you'd go Edmonds.
I mean, Edmonds.
Everybody wants to point the finger at Edmonds.
But it's like, come on, people. Did you not learn with Troy Polamalu when he was a rookie and he was older than Edmonds? And people were like, oh man, this guy stinks. And now he's Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Famer. Did you guys not learn with Bud Dupree, who for years he was a bust, and now all of a sudden we love Bud, we want to keep him around. These guys are young. Edmonds is 22 years old.
Right.
He might be younger than Juju. I think he is younger than Juju.
Might be.
And Juju's like one of the youngest receivers in the league.
And the craziest thing, they're asking him to play with, all right, you've got your safeties. He has to play with Sean Davis. Okay, Sean Davis gets hurt.
Yep.
Cam Kelly.
He gets
hurt.
All right,
Cam Kelly gets hurt.
He doesn't get hurt.
Pans out.
He just can't play.
He just fizzles out, and they bring in Minka. Like, okay, playing with Minka is obviously great, but that's still a lot of different players to learn how to play with, to develop that chemistry on the fly. He hasn't had that kind of stability yet in his career, so like you said, did you forget about how Bud Dupree suddenly became a monster?
Exactly.
How
people seem to forget about those things.
He's not done yet.
He's not. And the thing is that he's a student of the game. He's very smart. I talked to that guy a lot in the locker room. He's always looking to improve himself, and he's not settling for where he is right now. He's very upset that he didn't have an interception this year.
Sure.
And he wants to improve that. So I think the defense, they're heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think they're going to wreck shop next year.
I agree, and I'm going to wreck shop on a Crowler.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What's your
Bane of existence?
You're doing.
Started off that last beer. Listen, full disclosure, I don't like Penn Brewery. Typically, I don't like their beers. That chocolate meltdown was very good. I could definitely have a full pour of that. But
I do love me some Penn though.
Yeah, the Crowler is going to Hitchhiker on this one.
My Crowler is going for the mindful, sexy.
What? Really?
Kelbach.
Out of nowhere.
So wait,
out of nowhere.
Yeah, I like
I'm
my
not surprised.
sexy beers.
Look at this sweater. Clearly, he likes sexy stuff.
Holla at your boy. But I liked it because it was simple. It had the extra flavor to it.
I'm down with
and
that.
I appreciate that.
I like it.
About my beers. So thank you for watching Sports on Tap. If you're watching this and you want to taste some of this, get down to Mike's Beer Bar as soon as you can here in the North Shore of Pittsburgh, right across the street from PNC Park. Don't forget, next Thursday, February 20th, 6 p.m., special beer pairing with North Country Brewing Company. They have about 6 beers that they're going to be pairing with food just for you. You can get your tickets here at Mike's Beer Bar. We'll see you next week on Sports on Tap.